You get an alert from the bank that a payment was rejected. Looking into this, you find out that a customer's check that you deposited days ago bounced. This can be so frustrating. In this video, I'll show you how to fix this in QuickBooks Online and collect what you are owed. When it comes to bank fees for bounced checks, you could charge the customer the same amount as the bank charged you, or add an additional fee for the inconvenience this has caused. In our example, we're going to charge the customer an additional $15 on top of the bank's fee of $25 for a total of $40. To handle a bounce check properly, we need to track the fee that the bank charged and the fee that will pass on to the customer. That means setting up two new accounts, one for income and one for expense. To create our first account, we'll click on New Account, and this is going to be called Bounce Check. The account type will be Other Income, and the detail type will be Other Miscellaneous Income. Then we'll click on the drop-down arrow and click Save and New. Our next account will be called NSF Fees, and this will be an Other Expense account, and the detail type will be Other Miscellaneous Expense, and then we'll save. Now that we've set up the new accounts, let's move on to adding new service items. To create our service items, we'll click on the gear icon and then Products and Services. Then we'll click on the New button and then Service. And the first item that we'll create is called Bounce Check, and I'm going to use the same name in the description. And we're going to connect it to the checking account where the original payment was received. So that was the Chase checking account, and then we'll click Save and New. And the next service item that we'll create is called Bounce Check Fee, and again we'll use the same name in the description, Bounce Check Fee, and we'll connect it to the other income account which we created, which is called Bounce Check, and then we'll save and close. For the customer Lucy Gaines, you can see the initial invoice dated November 10th for $595. She paid by check on the same day. On November 12th, the bank charged us an NSF fee of $25 for a bounce check. Let's start by adding that expense. So we'll click on Create and then Expense. The payee was Chase. The payment account was Chase Checking on November 12th. And we're going to use the new expense account that we created called NSF Fees. And this was for $25. And then we'll save and close. Even though the check bounced, we're going to keep the initial invoice, and I'm going to open it up. It contains important historical information such as the invoice date and the due date, as well as what was purchased from the company and the amount that was charged. We're going to create a new invoice for the customer, so we'll click on the drop-down arrow and then Invoice. We're going to use the date that the check bounced, which was November 12th. And for the first item, this will be the bounce check. We're going to add some details, so that was check number 534 for invoice number 1018, and that was for $595. And then we'll add the bounce check fee, so we're charging the customer $40, and then we'll save and close. And here we can see the new invoice for $635. Next, we'll open up the payment that was initially recorded, so we're going to click on View and Edit. So here we have the payment that was received for $595. It was connected with the initial invoice. We're going to click in the box to uncheck it, and then we'll select the new invoice that we created, but we're only going to apply $595, which was the amount that was received, and then we'll record and close. Yes, we're going to modify it. So here we can see the initial invoice is open for $595, and we have $40 which is due, and that's for the NSF fee that we're charging the customer. Days later, the customer issued a new check, so we'll click on Create and then Receive Payment. And this was from Lucy Gaines on November 15th. The payment method was check, and the check number was 535. This was deposited into our Chase checking account for a total of $635. So that covers the two open invoices, $595 for the services that were provided to the customer, and $40 for the NSF fee, and then we'll record and close. Taking a look at the customer's account again, we can see that everything's paid and closed. Taking a look at the profit and loss statement, we can see the $595 that we invoiced the customer for the services that we provided, the bounce check fee of $40, which we charged the customer, and the $25 for the NSF fees that the bank charged us. If you choose to only charge your customer the same fee as the bank charged your business, then you don't need to create the NSF fees account. Instead, you can use existing bank fees expense account, and when you create the bounce check fee service, you can connect it to the bank fees account. So when you record the $25 that you were charged by the bank, you would use the expense account bank fees, and when the customer pays you the $25 that you invoice, you would use the same account for the repayment. This zeroes out that expense. Bounce checks are just a part of doing business. They happen to everyone. The good news is that you know exactly how to handle them in QuickBooks Online. You can recover what you're owed, cover your fees, and keep your books clean.